Hello, I'm Marco,
And I'm Nikki.
and today we will be going over our change making project, which was the tutoring connections.
And so just an overview of our presentation, we'll be going over our project, the community need that we saw, and share our individual experiences, our group experience, and leave you with our final thoughts.
So, Tutoring Connections is a program through the San Diego County Office of Education that works with CSU San Marcos and the leadership minor here at SDSU to connect student leaders to a one-on-one mentoring relationship with a child within the foster care system in need of academic assistance. Tutoring Connections required us to meet with our student 2 hours a week with a minimum of 20 hours for this semester, log in our hours every month, and attend ARP 207 weekly meetings for trauma-informed trainings and check-ins with Michelle Balo, who was the head of this program.
So foster youth are kids under the age of 18 that are dependents of the court, abused and or neglected, and removed from their homes to be placed with a foster family, relatives, or in a group home. In San Diego County, there are 2,200 students that are in foster care, and 23,000 students experience homelessness in San Diego. And so, because of the circumstances of their placement in foster care, most of these kids experience disruptions to their academics as well. And even more so during COVID-19, distance learning has exacerbated the challenge foster kids are already facing in regards to school.
Some of the difficulties foster care students go through is that being removed from a familiar environment and family to be placed with strangers in an unfamiliar environment is a traumatic event, and trauma can lead to triggers which makes it difficult to engage in learning. Often they're distracted or they have overwhelming emotions, and in general a lot of these foster care students just have difficulty trusting adults because of the experiences they've been through. And so next up, both me and Nikki will be talking about our own individual experiences with our students. So for mine, I was working with a sixth grader, and after talking with her and her caretaker, we decided that the one thing we wanted to work on is math, specifically division. So our vision for the ongoing tutoring was that we wanted to achieve fluency with division at the sixth grade level. And throughout this change making project, I was able to relate my experiences to transformational leadership. Some factors of transformational leadership include individualized consideration, inspiration, and intellectual stimulation. I felt that I had to meet these factors in order to be not only a better leader, but also kind of a good role model for my student, like especially inspiration and individualized consideration, because I had to grow alongside my student, and that entails changing my own leadership practices to grow alongside with my student.
And so during my tutoring sessions, I was working with a seventh grade student who had various learning difficulties. But this is a screenshot that I shared that is the specific goals for tutoring that me and her created during our first tutoring session. And so, really, she wanted good grades. That was her main goal. She wanted to make sure she had no more missing assignments. She wanted to get all passing grades. And then in regards to the online setting, she was very uncomfortable. So she wanted to get more comfortable with that. And that includes like participating, being more engaged, and then really being able to concentrate. And that also extends to doing homework, finishing academic tasks like that. And then just throughout this whole semester, I really related this to the text demands of project leadership, which are looking upwards, looking outwards, looking backwards, looking forwards, looking downwards, and looking inwards. And so since there were so many different roles that we had throughout this project, like me and Marco both had to like work together in on our presentations and in groups. And then we had our class and we had to look up to Llewelyn and Nikki. And then we had the other class that we were in with Tutor Connection ARP 207, where we had Michelle Balo that we had to be in contact with. And so it was just a lot of different roles that I found myself in, me and Marco were both in. And so I was able to learn from this demands of project leadership through my tutoring sessions.
So next up, me and Nikki want to talk about some group reflections we had when talking about this change making project. And one of those things were the challenges. So one challenge that we faced was because this was a very individual project, we didn't really have a lot of room for collaboration. We One way to put it is that we had to adjust to our own students, so we didn't really spend a lot of time talking to each other about the change making project itself.
Yeah, and I think what also went into that challenge was that there were a lot of other things that we did have to collaborate on, so we kind of left that on the back burner since it was so individual. But in regards to how we made decisions, I think we did really well at making decisions together because we were kind of able to have these meetings where we just bounced around ideas and brainstormed. And at the end, we would have like a really cohesive presentation or whatever because it was both of our ideas put together.
And that goes into the next point, which is our biggest accomplishments. And I think our biggest accomplishment was that we just had great communication between the two of us. Both of us were really open to each other's ideas, and we worked well together in terms of trying to put our ideas together so it satisfies both of our needs. And one way that I could put it is that when it came to a lot of the projects and assignments, we had more of a conversation about those instead of a deliberation.
Yeah, and I think even to add to that, we were able through having this great communication, we were able to like be co-leaders because neither of our voices were stifled. And so we just were able, I really learned how to be a co-leader. Like it was actually possible just because we had such great communication and both of our voices were equally heard.
Hmm.
But in regards to what we could have done better, this really goes into like the challenges we faced. Maybe we could have put more time aside to support each other in regard to our individual tutoring, and had that room for collaboration where we
Hmm.
didn't.
Yeah, we didn't really give each other advice on what we could do better. It was kind of just we were a lot more focused on, yeah, well, we can do better, but we didn't really ask each other for any advice and things like that.
Yeah. But just throughout the whole project, we really learned that being a leader means practicing patience. And so that goes into our first point of we really can't you really learn that you can't expect to see immediate results, especially in social work like this, because change is a gradual process. And I think at the very beginning of our project we really were creating all these goals where we wanted to see some change with our student every single session, but we really learned that that's not always going to happen and you can't like let that get you down.
Yeah, I realized that so I said that me and my student want to work on division. One thing we did around the beginning of our tutoring sessions was that I gave them practice problems at a fourth grade level, even though they're sixth grade, just to see where they're at. And I found out that they kind of didn't know division at all. So going into our next point of putting in the work regardless was that once I found that out, I knew that there's no way, we're going to catch up to the sixth grade level in like a week or two. I knew that I had to put in this work and I couldn't let that not seeing change in a week or two deter me from putting in that work and becoming a better leader.
Yeah, it's like you can't be discouraged that you're not seeing immediate results. You still being a leader means putting in the work, but also you're not putting in the work just for nothing. It's in hopes, goes into our next point of planting the seed for change. It's in hopes that you are making a change, that maybe in the future, maybe you're not even going to be there to see the change, but you hope that the change will happen in the students' lives. Like maybe they'll do better at school or they'll find a passion in school or they'll really like math. I think me and Michael both worked with our student on math, and so maybe we made that change for them.
And we just had our last ARP 207 meeting. And one of the things that Michelle really drove into us at this last session and even in the beginning was that, you guys are planting that seed for change. Like you might not see it, you might not even think that anything's going to change, but even us just being there for them two times a week might have been enough to make some positive change in your life. And that's one thing that we had to believe in.
Yeah. So thank y'all for listening. If you want to get involved, you can look at the SES Leadership Minor webpage, and that's how you can get involved with Tutor Connection, or even just contact Michelle Balo. That's her email address, and then we listed our references. So thank y'all for listening.
Thank you. Hope you have a good one.